What would you do if you discovered that your government was secretly watching everything you do? One man made a choice that changed the world. This is the story of Edward Snowden, the man who hacked America. Edward Snowden, a name that's been making headlines for years. Whether you think he's a hero or a traitor, there's no denying that Snowden changed the way we think about privacy, government, and the internet. But how did he go from being a regular guy to one of the most wanted men in the world? Let's find out. Who is Edward Snowden? Edward Snowden was born in 1983 in North Carolina. From a young age, he was fascinated by computers and technology. He was the kind of kid who loved taking things apart to see how they worked. After high school, Snowden joined the US Army, but an injury cut his military career short. That didn't stop him, though. He soon found another way to serve his country by working for the government. Snowden got a job with the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, which is responsible for gathering information to keep the US safe. Later, he worked for the NSA, the National Security Agency. The NSA's job is to protect the country from threats, like terrorism, by collecting and analyzing information. But as Snowden soon discovered, the way the NSA was doing this was very controversial. The NSA was using advanced technology to collect huge amounts of data from people all over the world. They were tracking phone calls, emails, and even social media posts. The idea was to catch bad guys before they could do anything harmful, but the problem was they weren't just watching criminals, they were watching everyone, including innocent people who had done nothing wrong. Edward Snowden realized that the NSA was collecting way more information than they needed, and they were doing it without telling anyone. This kind of surveillance is called mass surveillance, and it's a big deal because it invades people's privacy. Imagine if someone could read all your text messages or listen to all your phone calls without you knowing. That's basically what was happening. Snowden had a tough choice to make. He could keep quiet and continue working at his job, or he could tell the world what was going on. He knew that if he exposed these secrets, he could get into a lot of trouble, maybe even go to prison for the rest of his life. But he also believed that people had a right to know they were being watched. So, in 2013, Snowden made a decision that would change his life forever. He collected a massive amount of classified documents, around 1.7 million files, and shared them with journalists. He wanted to make sure that this information would be made public in a responsible way, so he chose a few trusted journalists to tell the story. When the news broke, it was like a lightning bolt. People all over the world were shocked to learn just how much the government was spying on them. The documents Snowden leaked showed that the NSA was not only spying on regular citizens, but also on world leaders, like German Chancellor Angela Merkel. She was the Chancellor of Germany at that time. Some people were outraged and saw Snowden as a hero, someone who stood up for privacy and freedom. They believed he had done the right thing by letting people know what was happening. Others, however, saw him as a traitor who had put the country's security at risk by exposing these secrets. They argued that the government needed to collect this information to keep everyone safe from terrorists and other threats. After leaking the documents, Snowden knew he couldn't stay in the United States. He fled to Hong Kong and later ended up in Russia, where he was granted asylum. Asylum means that a country allows someone to stay there because they might be in danger if they return home. Snowden's life changed completely. He couldn't go back to the US, where he was wanted for charges like theft of government property and espionage, which means spying. Despite living in Russia, Snowden continued to speak out about privacy and government surveillance. He wrote a book, gave interviews, and even appeared virtually at events around the world. But he also lived with the constant fear that he might be captured and brought back to the US to face trial. But even today, the debate continues. Some people think that Snowden's actions were necessary to protect our freedoms, while others believe that he endangered national security. It's a complicated issue with no easy answers. So, is Edward Snowden a hero or a traitor? That's a question that each person has to decide for themselves. What do you think? Was Snowden right to expose the government's secrets, or did he go too far? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos.